Hello out there, and today we are going to be talking about the 10 things that you need to know about the Massdrop Dogtooth. And the Dogtooth is a design by Brad Zinker, released in collaboration with Massdrop, and I really need to thank the people from Massdrop for sending this knife to our pass-around group for myself and a number of other YouTube channels to test out and do reviews on. It's very cool to have this opportunity, especially with a knife that I like as much as I like this one. So let's get right into number one, and number one is all about the different options that there are available. A number of different configurations for this knife, and if you were to go to Massdrop right now and check out this model, you won't see this specific looking one that I have here. What you'll see is a titanium frame lock version, and it's a really good looking knife as well. It has a lot of the like the holes in the frame that Brad Zinker designs are sort of known for. Really good looking, a number of different color configurations too, and I'll actually link to that one down below. But you won't see this carbon fiber version with the titanium liner lock. And there also is a G10 with a liner lock and a couple other configurations. Those are from a more recent drop, and the people at Massdrop said that that version and this one as well, they're all going to be coming back to the site relatively soon. So no matter what version you have an interest in, you will be able to get it, I'd say, in the next month or two. So very, very cool there. All right, one thing that I did notice, just an oddity, and it was just from pictures online, the titanium version is a little bit more slim at the back and like the butt of the knife, where this one is a little wider. Not really a big deal. Otherwise, everything on these two knives is the same. The S35VN blade steel, the interesting grind, all that good stuff, but just some slight differences that you should expect. All right, getting into number two, the manufacturer of the knife and the fit and finish. This is made by We Knives, producing a lot of the Massdrop stuff, and they do a lot of other production for people that aren't just doing their designs under their brand. And I've got to tell you, I really like We manufacturing. I think I like some of the knives that We produces that aren't under the We name more than I like the actual We's themselves. So the fit and finish on this knife is just really, really excellent. There's a number of like steps that are taken. You can see the machining in the titanium of the liner lock. Well, maybe you can if I can get it focused. Like down here. Yeah, so machining in the liner. Just really nice fit and finish. I really like the choices too with the color of the hardware and how it contrasts with the clip, and then the liners almost has like this acid etch look with that finish. Like just very, very cool and a very classy looking piece. So impressed with that. The aesthetics overall and just the build quality are pretty much top notch. All right, getting into number three though, the big thing, the thing that everybody wants to talk about is the funky grind. The blade itself is it's an odd one, right? Compound grinds, a lot of people don't care for them, and this one is unique even when it comes to compound grinds, in that, at least in my experience, what I'm used to is seeing a grind that'll get like thicker near the tip for a little bit more, strength and rigidity up here, instead of having the thicker portion back near the Toil and then thinning out going to the front. What I will say is that my complaint about most compound grinds is that when they're thick at the front and thinner back here, it just makes it look odd, because usually we're having a blade that's supposed to taper down to a thin point, and so that sort of, usually at least, disturbs that flow. But here it actually makes for a really attractive blade, I think, and I'm surprised to hear myself say it, but I do really like the look of this knife. I think it gives just extra aesthetics, and as far as performance goes, I'm sure there are people who know a lot better than I do how this knife will perform and how much it matters, but to be honest, this knife, it's super lightweight. It seems to me to be more of a gent piece than anything. Not to say that it won't be functional for all the cutting tasks that you need, but I don't really put too much stock into what this grind is going to be able to do versus this one, because I don't think I'd ever need to use it for anything so refined that kind of stuff would matter, if that makes sense. So the aesthetics of it for me are pretty much the most important thing, as long as the darn thing gets sharp, and it is pretty sharp. So other interesting things about the blade, we do have a really nice wedge, and then we have just extra, let me see if I can get this on in focus, just extra like faces, just a lot of extra machining, and Yeah, there's like an extra face, just a flat right here that it looks like it's just the top, but I mean just extra work done to just make this knife sort of pop and give you all these extra edges and lines. It's just really interesting. So very impressed with it. And the fact that it's so thin and it thins out going forward adds to the next thing, number 4. It's all about weight. Weight on this knife is just crazy good. I mean, it is lightweight to an extent that not very many knives are. Especially considering we do have full liners, 2.43 ounces for a knife of this size. So the best things that I can think of to compare, the liner lock Kershaw Leek is heavier than this. And the liner lock Kershaw Leek, I mean, this knife weighs nothing. And if we do a size comparison, maybe it'll make even more sense. Because the Dogtooth is actually longer in the blade and significantly longer overall. So it weighs less, it's thicker. I mean, just really, really cool how lightweight they were able to get this because of the carbon fiber and the titanium. So the only knife, and I busted out my super duper lightweight Spyderco Des Horn in order to test it, versus the Dogtooth. And the Des Horn wins, but the Des Horn is lacking a lot of things that the Dogtooth has. The Dogtooth is a superior knife for steel quality and then materials and stuff. So yeah, really impressive, this knife right here. While we have it, and we already did the size comparison with the Leek, let's just bring out a couple other things for you to get an idea. Here's the Kershaw Bare Knuckle. What else do we have? Kaiser Theta, why not? And one more. Here's the Mini Grip. The Mini Grip is another good one when it comes to weight to compare them, because the Mini Grip is a little heavier, and obviously it's thicker, but the blade stocks, you can see some similarity there. The Mini Grip is a little bit thicker there too, but I mean, just so much going on that makes the Dogtooth a super light knife. So very impressive there. All right, moving on to number 5. Number 5 is all about ergos, a little bit of cramping. All right, this knife, it could be just a little bit bigger in the handle. People always talk about blade to handle ratio, and it's pretty even here and pretty fair, but I think this knife could use just a little bit more space. I mean, you have this jimping here, and the jimping is good. I mean, it's super good. Really gets a good catch of your thumb. It locks in very nicely, but you can only use it in that one configuration, and for me, a lot of the comfort is actually choking up. So if you have larger hands, this knife really might not work out for you. But it is very comfortable. There are no hot spots. It's just sort of difficult to get a very, I don't know, just a comfortable configuration. It takes a while to really get it into the hand the right way. Now that said, once you get it there, it's just fine. And for me, a lot of the cutting that I end up doing whenever I'm using a knife is sort of like this anyway, doing like pull cuts, depending on what I'm doing. So be very comfortable for that. But I think if you're someone who needs, who has larger hands, just might be a little bit of an issue. Getting into number 6, there is one thing that sort of jumps out that I thought might be usable and help for ergonomics, but it's sort of really just there for sharpening, and that's this Toil. So the Toil is an interesting one because it's almost big enough to use, but not quite. So if I put my forefinger in there, you can see it's just a little bit misleading, because usually when you see something like this, it's actually a functional one. But no, it just sort of is that in-between size stage where it's really good for helping sharpening, but it's not going to do anything for you ergonomically. So you are going to be stuck back here. I don't think that's a big deal. One of the big things that a lot of people talk about, and on some knives it really does matter to me, is the distance from the end of the edge to the finger. and it's perfectly satisfactory here. All right, next, number 7. Number 7 is the action. The action on this knife is pretty good. It's a flipper only. It's on bearings, and you can see the flipper tab here is sort of just square. It does have some jimping. It's perfectly comfortable, not sharp at all, and you can sort of just push it and break the detent and not have it fly open. So the detent isn't super strong, but it is good where if you just, I guess people call that light switching. If you do that, it flies out. So never going to have an issue. Nice and snappy action when you use it that way. All right, getting into number 8. Number 8 is all about the lockup. Is it a concern? Is the lockup an issue? No, and I thought it might be for a couple reasons. One, if you take a look internally, the stop pin here is just really tiny, and I've seen tiny stop pins on a lot of knives, and not always an issue. But then also the lock face is also very tiny as well. And again, not always something that concerns me, but sometimes I see those things and I wonder. And especially since we don't have any like stainless steel interface, this is a titanium lockup onto the steel. No issues, no stick, nothing. It's very, very good. The lock face is carbonized, so it should reduce that stick, and it actually made it non-existent. So excellent job there. Really impressed. So what's the price of this thing? Well, if you go online right now to the Massdrop titanium frame lock, that one's around $120. The versions that I saw that were in that drop that is no longer available, the one that is coming back, they started as low as I think $99.99 for the G10 one, and then this one was an extra $20. So $120 for this knife. It might go up a lot of times with those initial drops. They're a little bit cheaper, and then they go up for the future. Even if it does, I will say that the $120 price point, $130, $140, getting into number 10, the value on this knife is really high. They continue to do really good things from for Massdrop at prices that are just very affordable. That's one of the big things that I think these Massdrop knives have going for them. They're just executed for the most part really, really well, and they're at reasonable prices. And this knife compares with, man, I mean, it stacks up with certainly something like the Des Horn. If you like a knife like the Kershaw Leak, if you're going to pay $30, $40 for that, and then 3 times the price, sure, but I see it, guys. I really do see the value. I think that it's a steal at this price point compared to a lot of the other stuff on the market. I'm really impressed with it. The build quality is there, and yeah, you could have yourself a pretty unique knife, fully functional at a very decent and fair price. So great job for Massdrop. Thank you again for sending this knife our way. But any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and take care. Have a good one.